This episode of Walt Disney World Today is sponsored by DVCBuyResale.com. DVC by Resale is a great place to buy or sell your Disney Vacation Club points. You can view their current DVC resales, get answers to frequently asked questions, and see the DVC point charts at DVCBuyResale.com. Or you can call Chantal directly, who is the owner, at 1-800-844-4099.
This is Walt Disney World Today. Give us 5 minutes and we'll give you the world.
It's Friday, May 4th, 2007, and this is episode 252 of Walt Disney World Today. I'm your host, Matt Hochberg of MGMstudios.org. On the show today, we have Mike Scopa of MousePlanet.com. Welcome, Mike.
Hi, Matt. I don't have a podcast opening tonight, but what I'd like to do is take this time and wish Deb Wills all the success in her Avon Walk for breast cancer this weekend. Deb has raised over $35,000, and I just want to wish her the best of luck and congratulate her on just yet another worthy cause that she just comes through with shining colors.
Very nicely put. And we also have Mike Newell of Mouse World Radio. Welcome, Mike.
I'm going to mirror exactly what Mike Scopa said, and we're heading down there tomorrow, so hopefully I can meet up with Deb and cheer her on.
And Len decided to miss another show. Now, let me tell you why I think something's up, guys. Len calls me, and he says he's on a flight, on an Air France flight from Atlanta to Greensboro, North Carolina. So we brought instead Soundboard Len back on. Welcome back, Soundboard Len.
I'm Matt Hochberg.
Yeah.
Len, your Soundboard Len just isn't that funny. Anyway, today we're talking about characters. We've mentioned them in passing. We haven't really done a show based on meeting characters in the parks. There's a large bit of it, and we kind of glaze over, like I've said it. But really, a lot of people find this a lot of fun. I know that I've recently discovered characters, so to speak, in that they used to be just a side attraction that went on, But for me, really, I've come to really enjoy them a lot more. Has that been? What have you guys always saying? Have characters been an attraction for you, or have they been more like distractions?
Well, it depends. If I'm in a restaurant, I'm really not into the character meals like I used to, because when I go into a restaurant, my main goal is to eat, not to greet. And I have to really be in the mood for the characters for me to go to a character meal. But lately, I think that what I try to do is, I know what goes into the making of a character, and I know how hard the work is, and I try to make every character I meet, let them know how much I appreciate their effort, and try to make the experience as enjoyable for them as it is for me. So I guess in that regard, I've turned the corner on characters recently.
What about Mike? What about characters that are in the parks, not just ones that are in a buffet? In the parks, yeah. What I always try to do is I always try to kid with the characters. And I can remember one night that Carol and I were in the Magic Kingdom for extra magic hours, and it was really late, and we were walking. We were right near the castle, and there was Goofy and Pluto, and I had all these dog jokes, and hey Pluto, I want to pick a bone with you. I gotta pick a bone with you. I'm so doggone tired, and Pluto, don't give me one of your tails, blah blah blah. And I can remember they both grabbed Carol and as if to drag her off, like you don't need him, and they were dragging him off. So I like to kid around with them, and I think that the characters in the parks especially need to have the guests fool around and joke with them, because I think it makes their job much more enjoyable.
Where's the crickets?
Yeah, I need that sound effect. Noel, what about you? What's your view on the characters?
I avoid characters at all costs.
See, I used to be like you, Noel. I used to think they were terrible, and I was literally forced into meeting the characters, going to them and talking to them, and what really does it for me more is really the secondary characters. Meeting Pluto or Mickey or something like that doesn't. They're fairly straightforward, Yeah. But what really got me were the other characters. But you still not a big fan, are you, Noel?
Unless I'm traveling with people or family that have never been before, I totally avoid the characters. I always feel like characters equal crowds. And where there's a character, there's going to be a line, and that's one line I don't need to be on.
Well, you see that it's an interesting point because generally that's true, but I've also found that certainly the less popular characters have, not as many, don't really have lines, and I don't. If I see a huge line for a character, I'm not stopping. You know what I mean? The ones that if it's more than 3 or 4 people deep, or I haven't been vetoed by someone in my group who I might be sort of engaged to, then I don't generally wait in line for this because I just, like I said, and that's too much for me. Like you said, Noel, it's just too much of a crowd.
Yeah, like I said, unless I'm with someone who has never been down before, like my nieces. I was with my nieces back in March, and I stood on the lines with them because they've never seen any of these guys before, so it was a big treat to them. But if it's just me, or if I'm with Mary, I'm not gonna, unless it's someone like Francis Flute or someone that you can interact with. The fur characters, you can't, talk to them. They can't speak, so it's really, it's more of a.
Well, that's true. Thing. Who's but I do like the face characters a lot more. And of course, for those who don't know, face characters are characters where you see their face. They're like think of the princesses, whereas fur characters are ones that have fur all over them, like Chip and Dale or Mickey Mouse or any of those ones where they're in a suit.
Right.
The one of the more interesting ones, I like the newer ones they come up with, like Kim Possible. She's a lot of fun actually to talk to. She's and to a lesser extent, you've got some of the other ones that certainly the Street Mystery characters. Although when I think of characters, I don't place them in the same category as like Mickey Mouse or something like that.
Really?
But yes, really.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I don't know. I've just never associated. When I think of characters, I think of Mickey Mouse. But at any rate.
Yeah. So who are your favorite characters, Matt? If you could pick your three favorite characters that you like to interact with.
By far, the best characters in all of Walt Disney World are the Stormtroopers. They and if you don't know, if you think
what Disney movie did they come from?
They're in MGM. I don't place them there. I just interact with who's ever available.
An MGM character. What a surprise!
Yeah. Well, what can I'm telling you that they're the best. If they were in some other park, I would tell you. But I'm telling you, the Stormtroopers are they're funny is what they do because they really
funny.
They go to the point of unlike say. Instead of like playing up like, okay, we're stormtroopers and we're going to arrest you, they really they ham it up quite a bit. I really enjoy them. They're definitely by far my most favorite character out there.
Do they speak down at the studios?
No, they do not. Well, during Star Wars weekend, I'll post a link to a video where they kind of speak, but no, they don't.
I don't understand. How are they funny if they don't speak?
They do little thing like some of the funny their little shticks that they'll do. They'll grab they'll be walking around in the park and they'll grab some young kid by the neck and start dragging him back.
See, that would be frightening to me.
That would be funny. It's funny to everyone else, maybe not for the kid.
Yeah, sure, the kid he's ruined for life, but everybody else had a ball.
You are sick.
And they tend to ride the attractions quite a bit. There's a very funny photo of them on Tower of Terror.
All right, that's funny.
At the camera during the drop scene. But that's probably my most favorite character. I think we all know what Scopa's favorite character is, but enlighten us anyway, Mike.
Well, I have 3 characters who I like, and the problem is that the first one I'm going to mention really depends upon.
She's wearing a blue or a gold dress.
She's got to wear a blue dress and a white apron, but she also has to have. The problem with liking a face character is that you won't get the same face character every time.
Yeah, and then sometimes you get the bad ones. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I won't say anything bad about this particular character, but my favorite character is Belle, and there is one cast member who portrays Belle, and she's usually in France, and she's my favorite. And sometimes I see her, sometimes I don't. But
if Carol's not around.
But I like. Oh, Carol just loves it when she's with me, and I mean anybody who's with me when
All right, we don't need to hear about that.
Yeah, you don't want to hear about it.
A little too much information.
What's fun is that every time I see Belle and Beast is with her, I have to go up to him nose to nose and say, "Step aside, Buster." It's just Belle and yours truly taking this photo, and that's my number 1 character. And my second and third
favorite characters because they make me laugh is Chip and Dale.
Chip and Dale are a lot of fun because, especially when they're together. By alone, they're not really.
Right. When they're together, they're a blast. I mean, you can have Mickey, you can have Minnie, you can have Goofy, Pluto, but Chip and Dale, I mean, you really have to be talented to portray Chip or Dale. And I remember talking with kids don't listen to the show, right? I remember talking with I don't know if I should say this, Kim Button, who has played Chip and Dale, and one of them, and she told me the type of mannerisms that the cast members have to learn, and it was pretty neat to see her going through the mannerisms, and she was out of costume, and it's like, oh yeah, I could picture the costume on you, and I could picture Chip or Dale doing that and stuff like that, and it really says how important it is for the gestures to really make the personality of the character that's behind the mask. So Chip and Dale always seem to bring a smile to my face. Not to say that Mickey doesn't, but if I had my druthers, I'd go with Chip and Dale.
No, my favorite thing to do with Chip and Dale is tell one of them that they're like, I'll tell Chip, Dale's my favorite, and to see the, of course Dale prounces around, very proudly, and Chip either walks away in disgust or looks horrified, or it's just they're very funny characters to be around. And really, if you've never done characters before, I would recommend actually Chip and Dale as really the first one, partially because have you guys ever noticed Chip and Dale are everywhere?
Oh.
It's like whenever they need an extra character, so and so called in sick, get Chip and Dale. They're everywhere.
I could do an entire show talking about things that I've experienced with Chip and Dale, and it would just be so funny. It's just, I think that's why they came. That's why they came to my mind, because I can think of so many things over the years that they brought a smile to my face. So they're up there. Now let's hear from Mr. Newell.
I told you I hate characters.
I hate characters.
I think it's a psychological thing from when I was little. Here we go.
Yeah. Well, really? Well, okay. Well, Newell clearly no characters from Mr. Newell.
It's not that I hate them so much. It's just I just try to avoid them.
There is a character that's sort of growing. There is a character that is sort of growing on me. She's actually my long lost daughter. She's one of the Streetmosphere characters. Her name is Paige Turner. Matt, you may know Paige Turner.
Oh yeah, she's always hanging out with Francis Flute.
Yep. She's kind of.
Okay.
Alrighty. Okay. Terrific.
Entertaining.
Mike Orville, go buff.
You're not recording, are you?
No, not at all.
Now, with the characters, one of the other thing about them is also where you can find them. One of the things I generally tend to avoid is when the park first opens and they generally place characters in an easy-to-find position to kind of distract people from going to the attractions, kind of as a distraction. In those cases, especially early in the morning, I don't like doing characters. Well, not in the first 20 minutes, or at least in the hour, because obviously you're wasting time that you could be on the attractions, but also because a lot of people just get sucked into them because they see them. I know that in the Magic Kingdom they stick the characters all over Main Street USA to try to get people to go do that instead of the studios. Instead of they place them right by the hat, inviting you over there. They're literally waving their arms to make you come over there as a to try to get people not to go just run over to Tower of Terror and Rock and Roller Coaster. So that's one thing. But there are areas that are actually pretty good for finding characters, and what I mean by finding pretty good is areas where you can have really small to non-existent lines to see them, and you can have that one-on-one time, because obviously Scope and Newell would never enjoy any one-on-one time.
Right, exactly.
But Scope, when you're dealing with characters, the best experiences are when you actually have more than a minute or two to talk to them.
Right. I can tell you that the best experiences I've had has been those times. Last year, my cousin and my wife and I were down there, and it was Extra Magic Hour, and they wanted to go on Dumbo, so it was really late. It was 12:30 in the Magic Kingdom, and I was really just just pooped. And I'm just, leaning on the rail watching them. There's hardly anybody in the park. All of a sudden I feel boom on one shoulder, boom on the other one. I turn around and I'm looking straight into the eyes of both Chip and Dale. And they're looking at me and they're turning their heads sideways as if to say, what's the matter? Why aren't you happy, And then there was a cast member with them, the handler, and we were taking pictures and everything, and it just vitalized me. So it was nice because if it was 5 hours earlier, there would have been a crowd around us. But I had them all to myself for about 10 minutes. It was really kind of cool. So you're right.
Yeah, I was to say that my best character experience was with Alice of Alice in Wonderland, and we were there with a 2-year-old, and it was Alice isn't.
Bet it was.
Alice isn't. She's popular, but she's not as popular as some of the other characters. And there was just no line for her. And the 2-year-old and Alice were just going to town. They were just laughing and dancing, and it was really an amazing experience. And when you go and you get to spend just even a couple of minutes with these characters, and they really and if they're really good, they'll be in character and play along. And you can, if you let yourself let yourself go a little bit and have fun with them, it's really quite an experience. You mentioned extra magic hours, Mike. One of my favorite areas is during any of the private parties after hour parties at the Magic Kingdom. Is a great opportunity to meet the characters because they just flood the park with them. So you've got always there's just so many characters there, and you've got less people like for Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party or Not So Scary. I'm trying to think of other places in Walt Disney World. Can any of you think of any places in Disney World where the only place that comes to mind is in Epcot in the United Kingdom.
United Kingdom, I was going to say, yep.
Yep, you can find the Pooh characters and also Alice in Wonderland over there. The best place to find Mickey Mouse, if you're interested, is got to be at the studios. He's got a dedicated place where he's there all day on Mickey Avenue, appropriately named. And it shocks me how empty it is there most of the time because a lot of people don't know he's in there, and he's there all day long. So it's a great, it's if you want to have some, he's in his Sorcerer Mickey costume if that matters.
That's right.
But, but that's a good place to find him. Any suggestions, Scopa?
Let's see, you hit that. Let's see, in the Magic Kingdom, we hit all those places. Right around the town square is where you'll find them. Let's see, Epcot we talked about.
Toontown. A lot of people expect him to be there, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I've seen Peter Pan there, and I've seen Alice there.
Doesn't Mickey have a spot there, too, that he hangs out in Toontown?
Yeah, in his
house or whatever that is.
In his house, in Mickey's house.
Yeah.
And Minnie also has one in her house. But again, those tend to get pretty crowded, especially. But if you want to do characters, I think the best time to do them is probably before noontime, I would say. Because a lot of people are still doing a lot of the attractions. And I think I've got no base. In my observations, the character lines tend to really get long in the afternoon. And of course, probably, if you really want one good one-on-one character time, it might be also the character meal, assuming that they have the characters you're interested in seeing over there. What's been your experience, Scopa, with the character meals? Have you found them to be better than in the parks? I think it's about a wash. Sometimes.
Well, the thing is with the character meals, you'll see. I think you get more time because you will get frequent visits. Whereas if you are in the parks, you have 5 minutes, maybe 6 minutes. Hi, Mickey. Hi, so-and-so. Take a picture. Boom. But if you are in a restaurant with the characters making the rounds, you'll see them twice, maybe 3 times. I can remember a long time ago, we were eating at Artist Point at the Wilderness Lodge, and it was breakfast with Pocahontas and friends. And Pocahontas would come over, and the raccoon, I forget the raccoon's name. Miko would come over, and she came over like 3 or 4 times, and I can remember on the 4th time she said, "I'm awfully sorry, but I'm supposed to visit every table every 5 minutes," and I said, "That's okay, whatever." So
beat it.
Beat it. I said, "Go send Bell," But I think you do get more time with them in a character meal because I think that the powers that be down there figure that, hey, you're paying for it, so you are you're supposed to get that time. And I do know that every single time I'm down there, that every once in a while, a manager will come over just to make sure that the characters have visited us, just to play it safe. Because obviously, if you don't have children, the thought is, okay, well, Mickey's not going to come over, Minnie's not going to come over, but they make they make an effort to go to every table.
And that's why I avoid sometimes the restaurants because of that. Like, I love the Garden Grill in Epcot, but because Chip and Dale always come over every 2 seconds, we tend to avoid that place.
Newell, there's this place called Six Flags you can go to.
They got Bugs Bunny and everybody there. It's no difference. It's psychological, I'm telling you.
You're a character.
Mickey comes over to Newell. Get away from me, kid. You bother me.
I think that you need to prep kids when they're really little that these guys are
so you don't turn into
5 feet tall and you don't turn into me. You know what I mean? That's pretty scary, meeting a character for the first time when you're really, really little.
You must have been scared by a hand puppet when you were really young or something.
I was 13 on my first visit.
Oh wow.
Well, there you go.
I got issues.
Don't be Newell. That's the.
What do you think, Glenn?
All right.
I could just kick back for the rest of the episode, right?
You just kick back for the rest of the year. He's good.
All right. Well, Len, why don't you take us out by singing Pocahontas?
If you dance with all the colors of the
And this show's been sponsored by
Oh, my
DVC by Resale. DVC by Resale is a great place to buy or sell your Disney Vacation Club points. You can view their current DVC resales, get answers to frequently asked questions, and see the point charts, all by going to www.dvcbyresale.com or email Chantal at info@dvcbyresale.com. And that's it for us today. If you want to find our older episodes, read our show notes, or send us your comments, you can visit the Walt Disney World Today website at wdwtoday.com. You can also email us at questions@wdwtoday.com. For Len Testa, Mike Scopa, and Mike Newell, I'm Matt Hodgeberg. We'll see you on the next show.
Good luck, Deb.
Howdy ho, Matt.